Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Be Well Baby podcast. Today is December 3rd, and it's my birthday. So, in honor of my birthday, I wanted to bring you something that brings me a lot of joy. A short, sweet, nerdy little conversation with one of our lead lactation consultants here at Be Well Baby, Faith Samaan. Faith has been an IBCLC for almost 18 years, and if you've been around here for a bit, you know that I am also an IBCLC and a doctor of physical therapy. And I love blending bodies, breasts, babies, body mechanics, hormones, all the things. But most of all, I want people to know that they don't need to be uncomfortable. In so many situations where we are made to feel like maybe discomfort is the only option. But Faith is one of those clinicians who just gets it. She's brilliant, deeply compassionate, and wildly good at what she does. She's also a seeker of knowledge and is always getting so many more hours of continuing education than she probably needs. And today, we are talking all about flange sizing, what it is, why it matters way more than you think it does, and how it can totally change your pumping experience. Let's dive in. Okay, Faith, this is our bonus episode on flange sizing. Let's start by talking about what a flange is.
Okay, so the flange is the part that goes around your boob and that your nipple would get sucked into.
In a pump.
In a pump.
A breast pump.
Sorry to clarify that. A breast pump. So the flange is a piece of the equipment that comes with the breast pump. Mm-hmm. The standard size is 24. Mm-hmm. That's the part your nipple would get sucked into.
Yes. Got it.
24 millimeters.
24 millimeters. And is that a good size for most bodies?
No. It's massive, actually.
It's massive. And what is the latest evidence on flange sizing? Because this has shifted over the course of the past few years, and you are in this unique position where you have learned from the person who did the research.
Yeah, it's actually incredible. Because the only information that we had prior to getting this research was based on cow udders.
Cow udders. We're not cows, nor do our boobs look like cow udders at all, or function like them even.
Right.
Yeah.
But they determined it was important that the cows were comfortable while they were getting pumped, which I find really interesting why that hasn't been the case for us humans.
I also find that interesting. I find that very interesting. So cow's comfort is more important than human comfort. We've established that. Now, let's talk about Jeanette and her research. Just tell us about her. Tell us about your experience so far learning from her.
So I took Jeanette's course prior to her doing a research study. It was based on her experience, and she was very open about it and just said, this is just based on experience. These are the things that you should consider trying and seeing how it changes in your practice. And that was going smaller in your flange size.
And how much smaller?
You're only wanting your nipple in that tunnel, and that's it. So
you don't want any of your areola in the tunnel.
Yeah, none of it.
And that, that just sort of makes sense to me based on how I know babies breastfeed, that the, eating from a baby's side is a combination of suction and compression. Mm-hmm. And the compression is happening just behind the nipple, not on the nipple, hopefully, if all is going well, but just behind it. I'm just sort of visualizing how the nipple is inside a baby's mouth, and it's just not the same as a 24 millimeter flange.
Because prior to this information or knowledge, we would want there to be space around the nipple, and you wanted to give the nipple extra room to swell in the tunnel. And that's actually just not the case. And that's not what's happening inside the baby's mouth either.
No. So Jeanette had this course that you took that was based on her clinical experience, which is a form of evidence. I want to remind everyone that evidence is three things. It is the family's perspective, it is the research, and it is our clinical expertise. And so this course was based on Jeanette's clinical expertise.
Yeah.
But now you've recently taken another course, and tell us about that one.
Yeah, so I took her workshop in person, which was fabulous. And she was able to provide us with even more information based on actually like going through the process of doing a research study. And what we found is that it's very similar. Not a lot has changed, but more of making sure we're measuring the tip of the nipple, but not just the tip of the nipple, but we also have to take into consideration the elasticity. If they're engorged, if we have engorgement happening, how far out they are postpartum. So she talks a lot about it. We're going to get closest to the right shoe. We're going to try on the size we think that we are, but then we might try on a larger or a smaller, and what feels the best when you start walking around in it.
That's great. And so it's not just about getting a flange sizing kit and measuring the base of the nipple. That's actually not what the latest evidence is showing is working for people. It's measuring the tip of the nipple, the diameter of the tip of the nipple, and then trialing different sizes, bigger and smaller, and different shapes. So what shapes are there out there for flanges?
So there's your traditional conical shape. There's
Like the Madonna.
yeah, conical. Yes, that's a great way to. There's the comfy, and then now there is a crater. There is a pano shape.
Okay, so a comfy flange is a little bit more curved. A crater flange is so interesting to me because it actually is more like what a breast looks like. It is a sphere and then the tube. It's not just a triangle. Most boobs are not triangle shaped, it turns out. So the crater actually allows the nipple to get closer in to that
Tunnel.
to that tunnel. Exactly. And then the pano, tell me what the pano is.
So the pano is a wider or larger span.
Yeah, it's like a bigger angle.
Yeah. And it covers more breast tissue itself. So some of it has to do with where it's putting compression at on the nipple or the breast tissue right behind the nipple. And I would say like how much it's pulling in there.
How much and all of these different shapes really impact how much tissue gets pulled into the tunnel of the flange. And I think a lot of people will ask us, what pump should I get? And that actually doesn't matter as much as the flange that you're getting.
Correct.
And what about, is it just a one and done? I get flange sized at 38 weeks and then I'm good to go?
No, you're going to change in size. The only time you might get a little larger is during engorgement, but from there on, you're going to continuously get smaller and smaller, which most people think breastfeeding is going to make your nipples bigger and bigger.
And it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It
They
doesn't.
actually start to get smaller and things start to normalize again.
The color of your areola will change back. So if you are at that point in your pregnancy where you're like, whoa, my areolas just got really dark. I didn't know that was going to happen. That actually does change. It changes back postpartum. So I'm curious about your experience with this new way of flange sizing, because I think that it has really changed our practice at Be Well Baby.
It's a game changer. I mean, even in a NICU setting for parents. And I'm excited to see as this continuously evolves, how hospital systems that do have NICUs do pick up on this information. But for not just building confidence, but realizing your body's doing what it's supposed to do. and we're stimulating the hormones in a way that our bodies are responding more and we're getting more milk, just makes a big difference.
Yeah. What are some of the cases that you've seen that have been sort of like everyone's mind is blown?
Well, I guess I can't always say who they are.
You can't say who.
No. Okay. So a really quick example. We had a parent who was pumping while they were at work, spending roughly 25 minutes to get roughly 4 ounces a session. They were using a 21 millimeter, sized them to a 13 millimeter. They were able to get 9 ounces in 5 minutes. And then they also said they'd never seen their milk look so fatty before.
So what does that mean when milk looks fatty?
Just being able to actually pull and suction out or vacuum out that milk better and more effectively without having to use even as high of a vacuum level that you would have maybe typically been using.
Yeah.
So
That's a huge difference. First, the flange size difference. She was using a 21 and you had her on a 13. And then the volume, in 25 minutes, she was getting 4 ounces, and then just 5 minutes of using the right flange size and she got 9 ounces. And this is an overproducer at baseline, of course, but it just shows you that like what is possible and with comfort. I think that's the other thing, that a lot of people who are pumping are just sort of living with this idea that it's not very comfortable and that you, quote, feel like a cow. But you're not a cow and you don't need to feel like a cow. And even the cow's comfort is important. So our comfort should be important too. And I think that that's the other piece, that she got 9 ounces with complete comfort.
Yeah. And I would say that's the biggest thing, is people expect the pump to hurt or be uncomfortable.
Yes.
And when I either help them or we discuss what the expectation is for optimal pumping, they're shocked that it doesn't feel like anything, or it just feels like a very gentle little tug. But I would say the most people will say they don't really feel a whole lot of anything.
Yeah. And I think with the going back to the fattiness of the milk, she was actually getting emptied, which is a really common problem when you are just pumping the foremilk, the milk that's in front. You're not actually fully emptying and getting the fatty part of the milk that your baby really needs. Can you think of any other examples about how this flange sizing has made a big difference for our clients?
Yeah, so we had a parent who was unable to breastfeed, was pumping for twins, and once we sized her and able to identify what pumping was actually supposed to be like, her volume, I believe, went up about 100 mils in like 24. It was either 24 or 48 hours.
Wow. And that is huge for someone who is exclusively pumping. Exclusively pumping is no joke. It is really hard work, and you want every second to count for that. Yeah.
Make it worth your every minute that you're there pumping in a...
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah. And you're stuck. You're stuck. I do think that it's important for people to know as well that just because this was your flange size at 38 weeks or whenever you got sized, you can change and you can get smaller. It is very uncommon for you to get bigger. And if you are sized by someone like Faith with the training that she has had, and then a different lactation consultant tells you that you're actually a 19, then you need to question where they are getting their training. Because there is really, and we will put this resource in the show notes for you. There's a really specific research article that you can use. You can bring it with you to the hospital and say, this is how I want to get fitted for my flange. And that's the way that we change systems. You know, it actually on average takes about 20 years, 17 to 20 years for evidence to go from being a research paper on the internet to actual practice in a hospital. And let's expedite that. And the only way that we do that is by demanding it.
Another example. Okay. Parent was told to go ahead and start pumping so that they could induce labor.
Oh, this is such a good example.
Did their own research, thought they bought the right flanges, wasn't getting anything, just pumping, dry pumping, more or less just to stimulate and to try to activate labor. I came over and I did a flange fitting, and you can be one size on one boob and one on the other. I did my sizing or my flange fitting with her, and she was able to yield 2 ounces of colostrum.
2 ounces
in one session.
Oh my gosh.
So she was able to take all of that with her to the hospital, which then even helped her whole breastfeeding journey at the very beginning.
Yeah. It's really remarkable how not just colostrum collection before your baby comes can impact your feeding journey, but how pumping and being confident with your pump before your baby comes and understanding how it's supposed to feel will impact your feeding journey as well.
And I find it to be really helpful to do those prenatal flange fittings or even just a prenatal education visit.
Yeah.
Because if you have the right size flanges before you even go in to have your baby, if there is a reason that you do need to start pumping for medical indications or other reasons, you have the right size flange.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
Yes. That is so important. And to have one less thing that you don't know how to do is really, really important. It really moves the needle for you postpartum because there's so much that you are learning. Yeah. Anything else that we need to share about flange sizing? If you want to be flange sized, Faith will come to your house and she has these incredible boxes of literally every flange size and shape. And it's like a little party. You turn on the pump and she puts the flange on and then she takes it off and is like, that's not the right one. And then she puts the next one on and she's like, how does that feel? And you're really like being asked to go internal and determine, is this painful? Does this feel like a gentle tug? And if it's comfortable, then it's right. And she doesn't stop until it's comfortable.
The other thing that I think is important to know, since they do sell a lot of inserts, really cheap inserts, is
the silicone, right? Silicone inserts.
Silicone inserts, as if that's going to replace or make your flange size fit you the way that you need. And that isn't the case. The case is that our body's skin in general doesn't respond very well to silicone, and we do respond better to hard plastic.
Yeah. And the response that Faith is talking about is a glide. Like the silicone is so sticky that we stick to it, and then it's not allowing the breast tissue to glide the way that it should inside the flange. So don't get a kit yourself. Don't get silicone inserts of 100 different sizes because you know you're going to change shape and size. Find someone who can size you appropriately, which may be harder to do than I want. Okay, so I want to address an elephant in the room here is that, like, if you don't live here and you can't have Faith come to your house and size you in such a specific way, what do you do? So we will link to a resource where there are people listed who have been trained by Jeanette Mazit, who did this research. Yeah. And you can also look up Babies in Common. There's another piece of the puzzle here that, like, if you are a super scientific human and you're like, I can measure the tip of my nipple and try to do this, you know what? I'm never going to tell you not to try. You just might end up ordering a lot of different flange sizes and shapes. And that could be okay. But if you can find someone who has been trained to size you appropriately, then you should absolutely go see them, and absolutely see them prenatally if you can.
Because a lot of us also have the equipment to size you. So you're not investing or spending a bunch of money that you might not get back.
Right.
Because you can't return them.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem with this. This is the conundrum.
But I have them.
Faith has all of the sizes and shapes. So you should absolutely go see her, or she should come see you. So Faith, if somebody wanted to do this virtually, is that a possibility to do that with you virtually?
Yeah, I think we can make that happen.
Great.
I could figure out how to size them and give them some suggestions.
Like for the sizes they should get to try.
Because there's a Goldie pack and they can get 3 different sizes.
That's right.
Where they could trial. So if I was able to identify what my first thought was based on measurement from a virtual standpoint, I might be able to suggest 3 different sizes that they could try. So that might decrease the amount that you're buying.
Okay. We have talked about flange sizes, and if you have any questions, please ask us, and know that Faith is incredible and she will come to your home and make you feel better about everything that you're going through.
We'll get you a great plan, work towards your goals.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Faith.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I could talk about flange sizing with Faith forever, but we'll wrap it here for today. If this episode made you rethink your pump setup, your comfort, or your expectations, good. You deserve comfort. You are not a cow, and your body is doing incredible things. If you want to set up a virtual flange sizing appointment or a home visit with Faith, just head to bewellbaby.org and click book now. It's all right there, and our team is waiting to help you. Next week's episode, though, is going to be a very different kind of fun. Because although today is my birthday, December 13th is Taylor Swift's birthday. And yes, I am dedicating an entire episode to her. And since she's now officially in the advanced maternal age category, hey Taylor, welcome to the club, I will be sharing all the ways I can support her through pregnancy, birth, postpartum, feeding, nervous system care, her baby, her babies, and beyond. Because let's be real, we know she wants babies. And I have to be honest, I know that I can really help her. And I want her to know that this level of support exists out there. You do not want to miss this one. I love you all, and thank you so much for celebrating my birthday with me. I'll see you next week.